Okay, here's one. Why can't men ever just be friends in fiction and media? It seems that every time there's an instance of a strong male friendship, a strong male bond in media, there's always a group of some people who make it out to be a romantic entanglement. Recently, I rewatched the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I have a lot to say about it, but the last 20 minutes in particular, if you were not certain that much of the story is kind of a parallel for Tolkien's experience in World War One and just for soldiering and the wartime experience in general, the last 20 minutes of The Return of the King are just heart-wrenching. Evil has been defeated. Sam, Frodo, Merry, and Pippin, they all return to the Shire, and everything should be honky-dory. And yet, they realize that to some extent, you can't really go home again. You experience something at war that just sets you apart from other people. And Frodo in particular is so haunted by his experience. He is so racked with trauma that he has to leave his friends behind and go to the Grey Havens. I don't know how you watch the last 20 minutes of Return of the King and your takeaway from the whole ordeal is, Sam and Frodo were gay. You've got this person taking the scene where Sam and Frodo are about to reach the summit of Mount Doom. It's the culmination of their entire adventure. They've spent almost everything they had. And Frodo, he's given all he's got. But then Sam says, if I can't carry the ring, I'll carry you. Again, we've got a very strong parallel with men's experiences at war. Men bond. They depend on one another. Their lives are in one another's hands. But then I guess because Sam is in close physical proximity with Frodo, that somehow transforms that entire thing into something romantic. And sure, we can joke about Elijah Wood's soft, doe-eyed performance of Frodo, but again, when you take the entire thing in its totality, when you watch those last 20 minutes of Return of the King, to dismiss. Here's the other thing. It's not just that they make it into something romantic. You've had people writing fan fiction for decades now, and that's their prerogative. Whatever they do in their own little corner, that's their prerogative. But the same people who constantly want to make every male friendship on screen into something romantic. They do this with Kirk and Spock as well. Oh my God, they're holding hands. Oh my God, Spock almost died and they're holding hands. That must be they're gay. The thing that really bothers me is not just that, but like the same people who routinely do this, who routinely make these male friendships into something romantic. They're the same people who go on and on about how men are toxic, or how men aren't encouraged to express their feelings. They will say that men aren't open or expressive enough. They will say that men don't have enough friends. They will say all that, but then when something does have a positive portrayal of male friendship, then it's like, tee-hee, they're gay. On the one hand, they'll say that men aren't expressive or emotional enough, or that they're too self-conscious or too closed off. But then on the other hand, as soon as two men get in close proximity with one another, it's, well, what's going on there? And the last thing is, when these people do get called out for it, when they do get called out for making things weird, then they sort of default to like, oh, I don't understand what the big deal is. This is just my individual interpretation. Like, no, you're being deliberately, provocative. You weren't leading with, oh, well, this is just my particular interpretation. You were leading with, actually, no, these characters are definitively gay. It's funny how one day it'll be all about media literacy. If you don't see a piece of art or a piece of media in a very specific, very particular way, if you're not picking up on the themes and the intended messaging underneath, you're just a dummy. You're just a dumb dummy who doesn't have enough media literacy. But when you make a point of saying, I don't think this is really what Tolkien intended, and I think you're being a little tinfoil hat here, then it's all about individual interpretation. Then you're being a bigot and you're destroying people's ability to interpret media in the way that they want. And if their argument is that you are somehow taking something away from them in denying them their interpretation of a piece of art, how would they not then be doing the same thing? If their insistence is that Sam and Frodo are supposed to be romantic, how are you not then sort of squashing everybody else's normal interpretation? The distinction, at least in their minds, is that for you to deny them their interpretation, that is bigoted and homophobic, but for them to deny you your interpretation, who cares? Nothing is really lost there. Because no, it's not really about individual interpretation. It's all about sort of controlling the culture. It's all about sort of nudging the culture to one direction or another. It's not about personal enjoyment or personal enlightenment. You approach a piece of art, when you apply a lens of interpretation to a piece of art, when you try to study it or to think about it, it's for your own sort of betterment. Whereas this is just sort of like neener. It's sticking it to the chuds. It's kind of an in-group signaling. Otherwise, Tolkien in particular, again, having just rewatched the films, there is a lot there that is completely alien to sort of the progressive zeitgeist.
I bid you stand, men of the West!
There is a lot about Lord of the Rings that is completely at odds with the progressive zeitgeist. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say about that. Just let men be friends. I don't see what's so hard about that. Why you want men to have positive role models in film and television. You want you want to encourage men to be more open and sociable and to make more friends. Why can't men just be friends in the movies and the TVs to start with? Okay, goodbye.